Hi everybody, thank you for pressing play on the video today. It's Caroline here from craftycarolinecreates.blogspot.co.uk. Today's project is this really lovely little gift box that I designed and made to allow me to send out this month's thank you presents. Everybody that shops Stampin' Up with me receives a lovely little present in the post the following month as a way of saying thank you, because I really do appreciate everybody that shops with me. If you are shopping with me, do try and remember to add the hostess code, which is shown on my blog. It just allows me to send out a lovely gift to everybody each month. So let me just show you the box. I designed this pattern using the Flower Patch stamp set, and we've used various different stamps to build that up. I'll come to that in a moment. The ribbon is there purely just for decoration. We will slide that off. But you'll see the box stays closed nicely on its own without it. I thought it just added a little extra something to it. And then the box opens up like this, and inside you can see there we've got an extra little flip up compartment. So the gift that everybody received this month, and I know they've received it, I won't show the video until I know everybody has. We got some lovely Stampin' Right markers in the 2014-2016 in colours, and then in this little secret compartment at the front we also got 2 reels of washi tape, again in the 2016 colours, and then a whole little pile of gorgeous wooden embellishments. So we've got some snowflakes, some gorgeous little into the wood bits there as well, some little clothes pegs, and then these gorgeous saying elements as well. So there's a lovely little mixture of bits in there. Hopefully they will go down well, and by the time you are watching this video, everybody will have received them and be happy with them. Obviously I made it to house these perfectly, but it is just a lovely gift box that you could use for all sorts of different things, especially as we run up into Christmas. But I think the pattern is quite summery actually. Must have been quite a summer's day when I was putting this together. The weather has been really lovely here in Manchester actually, considering that it is now October. So how did we make it? Right, so this is the Flower Patch stamp set. It's photopolymer, so it makes making these gorgeous patterns super easy. So we started with a piece of Whisper White cardstock. It measures 8 1/4 by 10 7/8 of an inch. All of the dimensions, as always, are over on my blog. And what I did was I just started stamping that in a random pattern. So I've used this flower here. As you can see, the images on the box are a little smaller than they are in real size. So this flower here, I used this little smallest leaf, and then this, which I think is supposed to be a stem, I think makes quite a nice little leaf detail. And then I filled in some of the white gaps using this little dotty flower here. The colours, I know a lot of people like to know what colours I used. On the example that I showed you, I actually used Perfect Plum, but that actually dried out while I was making it, and I realised I don't have a re-inker. So for this one I've switched over to Wisteria Wonder. The leaves are Pear Pizzazz and Mossy Meadow, and my little features here are in Marina Mist. Marina Mist, that's the one. Right, what I want to do now is just finish off the stamping. And you can see in the middle of the flower here I've put a feature in Blackberry Bliss. So that is using this little feature stamp here, which I've already mounted on my clear mat block, and I've got some Blackberry Bliss ink. I'm just going to use a clear mat, a foam mat, because it is a photopolymer stamp set. Okay. And because it's photopolymer, you don't need a Stamp-A-Majig or anything, because you can see pretty much perfectly where that it is going to go. So I'm just going to ink it up, and we're just going to fill in the centre of each flower that we have already stamped. This was actually really therapeutic. I had to make quite a lot of these because thankfully I've got quite a few customers that were kind enough to choose me as their demo. So I had a lovely therapeutic evening just stamping, which is actually something that I love to do, and it's what got me into Stampin' Up originally. But you know, making these videos means I spend a lot of time sort of coming up with box design. So it was really nice just to spend a whole evening just, you know, production line stamping. Okay, I think we're getting there now. There we go. So that's all of them done. So you can see just how quick that was. And we've got some lovely pattern paper. So this was the piece that measures 8 1/4 by 10 7/8. You also need a smaller bit that measures 7 5 1/4 inches. This one you don't need to stamp fully because this bit is going to be hidden, so you can sort of do 2 inches at the top without any stamping on easily if you want to save a little bit of time. So now we've done our stamping, we're going to do some scoring. Bring in the scoreboard, and we are going to start with our oh, we've got a bit of, we've smudged a little bit, sorry about that. So we're going to start with our larger piece. Let me bring that in, see if you can see the top. There we go. All the dimensions will be over on my blog, as we said, so don't worry about rushing to write these down now. We're going to score the short side to begin with, and we're going to score it at 5/8 of an inch and 7 5/8 of an inch. I should know these dimensions by half now, the number of times I have I've scored these. Then we are going to score the long side, again starting at 5/8 of an inch, 5 1/8 of an inch, 5 3/4 of an inch, and 10 1/4 inches. Okay. The smaller bit we are going to score at 5/8 of an inch, yep, 2 5/8 of an inch, just checking I've got the measurements here right, 2 5/8 of an inch and 3 1/4 inches. On the other dimension, on the other direction, let me just, sorry, turn that round. You're going to score, I knew something was wrong. Ignore those score lines going the other way. I'll have to do this again before I send it out to somebody. So 5/8 of an inch, 2 5/8 of an inch, and 3 1/4 inches. Okay? All of those dimensions will be on my blog. Sorry about messing it up a little bit. We'll start by folding and burnishing all those score lines. Okay? Put that bit to one side and we'll work on our main box for a minute. Just give those a quick fold and burnish. Oh. There we go. Okay. Now, this side, decide which side is going to be your front and which is going to be your back. And the first thing we need to do is bring in our 1 inch circle punch. And just in the middle of what is going to become our lid, I'm just going to notch out, just by eye, a little finger hole just to make that easier to open. Then with my scissors, I'm going to cut up on each side the 4 score lines on both sides, and we're just going to notch those out as well, just to make it that little bit easier to get our box to fold up. Okay, last one, there we go. Okay, now with our fuse, we're going to start building it up. So this is our lid, so remember that bit is the lid. So start off with some snail on the other side of these 2 central flaps. Okay. And then the 2 at the front of this opposite side to where we did that notch, okay? And then we can fold these up. 1, 2, like this. You getting it? There we go. So that's our base made up. And then we're just going to fold that up so you can see how that wraps round nicely like this. Okay, so if we just put some more fuse on the outside of these, the underside, or the, I guess it's the pattern side of these two remaining flaps, fold it up again, and to get a perfect fit is to glue that as you wrap the box around itself. There we go. So that is the basis of our box constructed. We open it up again to add our little secret hidden flap. Gonna just round off the corners of the patterned flap. So this is the bit near the first score line that you did. And we're going to put again a little notch in the centre. Just going to line it up roughly with the notch on the lid. But rather than punching on the end, we're going to punch through that fold. So just so I can roughly get where to go. And again, just doing that by eye, punching out a small hole there. Last thing to do is to run a little bit of fuse along the underside of this section. Okay, and then this is just then this flap is just gonna butt up against the front of your box, and we can just push it down like that. Fold that round, and we can see that that little secret section is now nicely installed. So all that's left for me to do is to pop in our gifts, so the Stampin' Up markers there. Oh, there we go, they should fit in perfectly because it was designed to fit them. And then at the front here, just going to add in firstly two tubes of washi tape, 2 reels of washi tape even, and then our wooden embellishments. Make sure this person gets their right allowance. Close up that flap to begin with. There we go. Close up our lid on top. Oh, sorry, just spend a second moving those embellishments out of the way so that this is going to fit in. And there we go, that's it, perfect. And then bring down the box lid to close it on top. Seems a bit tight in this corner. Oh, let me try again. I've made so many of these, and of course the last one would be the one that doesn't quite work. Okay, there we go. So that is nicely closed up. Last thing to do is add on our ribbon. Now you can obviously just wrap it around like this. What I did on the one I showed you was sort of a bit of a fancy corner, so it's popping it over opposite corners diagonally. I think I mentioned before that my husband comes from Denmark, and in Denmark they are actually quite obsessed with nice wrapping. And if you buy anything in like a department store or you know, a nice fancy shop, they'll always gift wrap it for you in such a beautiful way for free. And this is quite a common way of tying the ribbon. So we've wrapped it over 2 sides, and then we are going to wrap this round, pull that tight, there we go, and then just trim off those tails, just like that. And there we go, a very elegant, very pretty gift box, ready to pop out in the post to one of my lovely customers. If you did receive one of these, I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you would like to receive a similar package next month, please do not hesitate to get in touch and order some Stampin' Up products. Thanks a lot, bye bye.